Hello, I'm EnterElysium, and we're having a look at KSP version 23.5, which will be coming to you soon. This is not a full version release, it's not 24, it's not got the career mode updates. What this is the new NASA Asteroid Recovery Mission, the ARM project. Asteroid Recovery Mission. Now, as you can see here, we've got a couple of new parts. These are 7.35 meter tanks with big cluster engines on the bottom. I may have asparagously staged them because, well, why not? They're pretty big and pretty damn strong in this mod. And they're using the new effect system, so you can see those pretty plumes of smoke coming out the back. Well, not smoke, they're kind of like superheated fuel burning goodness. Now, this is the tracking station, and you can see these strange question mark things. And when we track them, using that little blue button down there, we can see that it is a size Class C asteroid. Size Class Cs are sort of your middle one. They go from A as the smallest to E as the largest. So I'm just looking around now. I'm seeing how to find a nice big Class E. So to actually get them to appear and to get their orbits onto the map, you need to be able to go through and just click track on all of them. Now, I'm going to assume this is placeholder for a later mechanic where you can either, through some sort of career mode integration or some sort of observing process, be able to track them. Because at the moment, it just seems that you have to go up and you have to go track for each of them, which seems to me like it's placeholder and it's hinting at something else, because there's no gameplay in hitting a track button. But if it costs you somehow money to track an asteroid or something, which might come when they introduce the money and career system, I'm thinking that's what it might well be. Now, that's, of course, complete speculation. I don't actually know any of that. But that would definitely be my guess, is that there is a mechanic that might be coming that might be integrated with it that would make it more gameplay. And as you can see, this asteroid here has an encounter with Kerbal. It will come into Kerbal sphere influence. So the best way to actually get yourself an asteroid is to find one that will be going into Kerbal sphere influence, and then send out your mission to journey and meet with it before that happens. So you can see here we've got a big thing with a load of tanks and 6 nuclear rockets. And this is going to be meeting up with an asteroid, a Class E, so the largest one there is possible. That's why I've got so many tanks, because they actually weigh a lot, asteroids. They're pretty big. Class E's are 80-meter radius and up. 36-meter diameter. For any of those of you who are American, that's over a 100-foot diameter sphere of rock. It's pretty big. Now, it's pretty heavy, so you need a lot of fuel. And as you can see here, I've arranged it so that we get a meeting over there. Now, this is the asteroid. I've skipped ahead to meeting it because, well, it's kind of a long thing. And as you can see, I'm just going to slow down. Now, you might be wondering what that odd protrusion is on the end of the spacecraft here. This is what we'll be using to attach to the asteroid. This is actually a completely new part, and it's pretty damn good. And it's very interesting because it basically allows you to dock with things without having to have a docking port on docking port attachment. So yes, you can use these to make space stations. You don't even have to go and find another docking port to mate to it. You can just get one craft and grab another craft with it, which is incredibly useful. You could like have a craft that's lost in space without enough electricity or fuel or whatever to get home, and it doesn't have a docking port for whatever reason, probably because you hadn't researched on it or something. And then you can use the claw to go and grab it. However, they are at the very end of the tech tree, so it's likely you've researched docking ports before. So maybe you just forgot to put a docking port on this craft. But you can literally go and grab them with this claw. But the main reason that they're here is for attaching to an asteroid. So we're just going to slow down and we're going to come in on this asteroid. Now, as you can see, it is pretty damn huge. And it's got this name of WNZ438. It's not very inventive. We'll give it a new name. You can, in fact, rename the asteroids once you actually meet with them. Now, you can see we're turning around and highlighting it with our spotlights. Maybe we should dial down the spotlights a little bit. They are fairly bright. But as you can see, the asteroids are kind of nicely shaped and textured. They are pretty nice. There's no obvious, well, at least no instantly obvious geometry to them. They do look nice and sort of weirdly like some sort of malformed potatoes, which is kind of what you expect for a classical asteroid. So, using this new part, we can arm it, which you can see the claw there, and we'll basically impact the asteroid at a nice low speed, not too fast. That would be bad for us, and bad for the asteroid recovery mission because, well, we wouldn't recover the asteroid. So yeah, basically you want to impact it at a nice slow speed, and your part will dig in. And of course this can be used on other craft as well, so you can basically make a space station just by impacting claws onto parts. And of course this is brilliant because being able to recover asteroids, You can build asteroid bases. You could collect asteroids in the crater on the moon and have your own interstellar ball pit. Well, not interstellar, interplanetary ball pit. Yes, interplanetary ball pit made of asteroids, which would be amazing. Jebediah loves his ball pits. I love playing in ball pens. They're just so much fun. I'm really too old to play in ball pens anymore, so I'm probably going to make my own out of asteroids on the moon. Don't judge me. So we're going to land here, and as you can see, the claw is doing its job. I'm just trying to go in very slow at the moment because, well, it looks more awesome. But I'm pretty sure that it's the standard docking procedure applies. Is if you hit it at maybe more than a meter per second, bad things happen. So we're just going to try and hit it at 0.1 meters per second. And collision. And yes, we're docked. And as you can see, our center of view switches to find the center of mass. Which, of course, is pretty far inside the asteroid, considering we weigh very little compared to the asteroid. And it does look a very odd, interesting shape. Very strange. Very much like a malformed potato of some kind. Like a scrunched up piece of paper that's then been calcified and left to turn into some very weird thing. So let's rename the asteroid. So target the center of mass. And by the way, that grapply node you can actually get to flex so that you're pointing at the center of mass. So let's rename it, and we'll rename it to New Kerbal. I think New Kerbin's a good name. I think New Kerbin's a very good name. It shows how much we respect going into outer space and how much we dedicate our lives to that. So as you can see here, this is how it will be meeting Kerbin. So I've placed a maneuver node a little bit ahead of us. I think it's not very far ahead, like an hour ahead. And we're going to tweak the maneuver node, and as you can see, we now have this purple line showing us where we'll be after performing the maneuver. And that purple line means we're going to get a nice atmosphere skimming pass on Kerbin. Now, of course, you kind of don't want to hit Kerbin with an asteroid. An asteroid this size would go through the atmosphere and impact the ground, and do some serious damage. If that was actually modeled in the game, we would probably do a lot of damage to Kerbal civilization, which is probably bad. Now, I'm skipping ahead here. We have come into Kerbin's sphere of influence, and I'm just doing the correction burn, because, of course, burning with that large a mass takes a very long time, and also because the center of mass keeps shifting around under you because you're not going to be firing perfectly through the center of mass. It takes quite a lot of effort to try and keep pointing at the right target. So here we go. We're going to be skimming the atmosphere and trying to lose a little bit of our velocity. Hopefully not too much, because that would be somewhat troubling, because of the death we would cause. So we're just going to go for, I think it's about a 56 kilometer periapse, and that should be enough to bring our orbital velocity into a Kerbin sphere of influence orbit. Now, as you can see, we've hit the atmosphere. We're on the dark side, so I'm afraid it's a little bit hard to see what's going on. But with asteroids, you can do a lot of stuff with them. You can make asteroid bases, you can make ball pens, you can make asteroid spacecraft, although that would be weird because there's a lot of dead mass there that wouldn't be doing much, but it would look cool. You could have a base out in the asteroid field. You could use them as temporary depots of some kind. You could also have your own missions that when you find, because these things randomly spawn, they're procedurally generated, I believe. They're not the same in every save, and as you discover them, some of them will be on collision courses with Kerbin, so you could have your own recreation of Armageddon in KSP, which would be amazing. And if you haven't seen it, I kind of did a similar thing a very long time ago where I had to spawn the asteroid in one of my World War K episodes. I think it was like World War K episode 7 or 9 or something. Well, that's my favourite one, actually. But that's just me totally like being like, you should go check out my other content, guys. Sorry, shameless self-promoting. But there we go. We now have an asteroid in orbit around Kerbin, and that's how it's done. You just go, you find one, you rendezvous with it, and then you bring it back. I've been EnterElysium, and stay shiny. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to leave it there, did you? No. I know what you all want to see. You're all really wondering about what happens if you get an asteroid to impact Kerbin. And I've got to say, I thought the same thing. So what would have happened if on that burn, instead of actually trying just to get the asteroid into orbit around Kerbin, we actually decided to crash it into Kerbin. Because why not? What I'm going to talk about is basically the exact procedure for how you meet up with an asteroid. Firstly, go to the tracking station, find a question mark asteroid, scan it with the scanny button. Do that for a few of them. Find one that comes fairly close to Kerbin in future, and is hopefully somewhere nearby Kerbin's orbit, and like not too far out, and hopefully is coming near Kerbin in quite a while, because the longer it is until it gets there, the longer you'll have to do the burn, and the smaller the corrections. So what you want to do is then you've got to send up your craft into orbit around Kerbin. Remember, you'll need a lot of fuel and some nice efficient engines, because pushing an asteroid around is really hard. There's a lot of mass there. So you kind of got to send a nice big craft up. You do that, then you make it so that you go and burn out from Kerbin and you meet the asteroid, say halfway. Just by setting a maneuver node and then just pushing your orbit out so that you meet up with it. Or if the asteroid happens to be internal to Kerbin's orbit, push the orbit in. Then once you've met up with it, to actually do the docking, it's just like you would if you were meeting up with a craft around Kerbin. What you got to do, pretty much, is just get to close approach to it, and when you're at the closest approach to it, you burn to reduce your relative velocity. And when your relative velocity is 0, you burn towards it. Then when you get close enough, you burn until your relative velocity is 0. Then you burn towards it. And you keep doing that until you get so close that you can basically point at it and hit it at a nice low speed, may I point out, with your grabby arm extended. So once you've actually met it, you're going to try and make sure you're pointing through the center of mass to begin with, so try and hit that marker dead on when you hit it. But you can right-click on the grabber attachment and then tell it to be a free pivot, and then you can swing your craft around and use it as a pivot. And then once you get it so that your craft is basically pointing through the center of mass of the asteroid, lock that pivot in place. Because it's kind of hard if you're burning off to one side of the asteroid, you're going to spin. And it's a big, heavy object, so once it starts spinning, it's going to be hard to stop it spinning. So, like, the craft I have here, of course, has, like, 4 SAS units and some RCS. Yeah, and I had a real problem, so just kind of pointed out, you do need a lot of SAS. Anyway, just then put a maneuver node on and just have fun. Use a maneuver node to make sure you bring your orbit down around Kerbin, so maybe you're skimming the atmosphere to slow it down. Or if you want to avoid it touching Kerbin because it's going to be a planet-destroying asteroid, burn it away. And then if you still need to do some corrections, do your corrections as per usual. It's just a bit hard controlling them, they are pretty damn big. If you go for, say, a Class A, it's very small in comparison, it's only a few meters. You'd be fine with a Class A, there shouldn't be any real bother with that. Class E, you're going to have some fun. And honestly, it is kind of fun, and I do like the models. Anyway, now I'm just going to finish wiping up Kerbal Kind, and I'll leave you to it. I've been EnterElysium. If you've enjoyed this quick look video at the oncoming, soon-to-be Asteroid Reconnaissance version 0.23.5 for KSP, please like the video. That's actually really helpful to me. Please, the like button. And if you're not subscribed, then please consider subscribing because, well, I'm awesome. And we can be awesome together. Anyway, I've been EnterElysium, and stay shiny. Bye, Kerbal Kind.